Hello, and welcome to a special edition of Liberal Unplugged. We're going to have a little fun with you guys today. We're going to share who we think are going to win the bowl games. And when I mean we, I mean I'm Earl here at the newspaper, and joining me today, Coach Jason Dunlap with the Liberal High School. Coach?
How you doing today, Earl?
Football season isn't over, Coach. They're still playing. This is what they play the whole season for. And I know that you've had your college career and you got to play some in that. I mean, how exciting is it when you get to the bowl season?
This time of year is the payoff. Practices are a little shorter, things are a little easier, and you're expected get finals and all that stuff. So this is the fun time for those kids. And some of the best games you'll see in the year coming up right now.
And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to go through the whole bowl schedule, and we're going to give you a chance to see who's better, Coach or you, because you're going to get to turn in your picks and find out if you can outpick Coach Dunlap on the bowls. They're going to be printed in the Leader in Times, and you're going to be able to go through and tell us who you think is going to win. And, Coach, there's some intriguing matchups. There's some that maybe some people may not know as much about. And so we're going to start going through these. And let's go right here. We're going to start with the Celebration Bowl. And that matches up Grambling and North Carolina A&T. And as you'll see on the graphic, and we'll be doing this throughout the show, this game is going to be 11 o'clock, December 16th on ABC. So that's where you're going to find this one. So, Coach, Grambling and North Carolina, who's going to take it on that one?
I'm gonna go with North Carolina A&T there, Earl. They actually have a quarterback that I like, a kid named Reynard, 6'4", 200. Probably thrown for pretty close to 3,000. Probably rushed for about another 600. So the kid can play. I believe they're 11-0.
And I'm going to first admit I don't know as much about these two teams, but here's what I know, and here's how I'm making my pick on this one. Grambling's got the best band in the land, and no one marches like Grambling.
All right.
And so if you can put together the moves that they do on the field like that, then I'm going to pick you in the bowl challenge. So I'm the only one. Rick gave us his picks. He couldn't be here with us today. And Rick's going with you, Coach. He's going with North Carolina A&T. I'm going against the grain. I'm going with Grambling in that one.
All right.
New Orleans Bowl, Coach. Troy versus North Texas. This game's at noon on December 16th, and you can find it on ESPN.
Day one game there. Another intriguing game. There I'm going to take Troy. I'm just going to stick with my heart there.
And, Coach, we're already off to a start here. We're going to be opposite some, but I'm going North Texas. Troy has some big historic upsets in that program's history, some fun with the boys of Troy. But things have kind of settled in a little bit. I'm going with North Texas. But, again, you and Rick are eye to eye because the big dog also went with Troy. So you guys probably know what you're talking about. I'm a fan. These guys – they pay attention to football. I just watch it on Saturdays, but so the two of you go against me again. But I'm taking North Texas. Coach is taking Troy. So beat Coach. You got to see if he's right. Now, Coach, we're going to move on to the Cure Bowl. This is 1:30 on December 16th on CBS-SN, CBS Sports Network, and so Western Kentucky and Georgia State, Coach.
I'm going to go with the 6-6 Hilltoppers. Georgia State's 6-5 right now. I get to see. I watch late night football while I'm watching film and I'm up. And Georgia State's defense hasn't been up to par lately. Still got bowl eligible. But the Hilltoppers have scored a lot of points. So let's take Western Kentucky.
Coach, I'm with you. Western Kentucky, the Hilltoppers, they're almost. It seems like they're making that move. When you see some of these programs that they used to consider mid-majors type, and they seem to be starting to step up and getting on the national scene a little bit more. I don't know a lot about Georgia State. This time, Rick is the one who's going to be the oddball out. He took Georgia State, so I'm with you, Coach, on that one. Las Vegas Bowl, Coach. This one's going to be December 16th, 2:30 on ABC. Busy day of football that day. Number 25, Boise State versus Oregon.
Man, this one was tough for me here. But I'm Willie Taggart's going to Florida State. Won't have your head guy. I'll take Boise.
Going with the old Broncos there, and I'll tell you, the Boise State, it just seems like they're a bowl team. They seem to perform. They've had some upsets in the bowls and over the years, and I'm with you. I'm going with Boise State. Again, I'm opposite of Rick. So far, I think I'm completely opposite of Rick. He took Oregon. He's going with the Ducks. So he takes the Ducks. We take Boise State. In Vegas is where that one's going to be played. So that ought to be a fun one. The New Mexico Bowl. You got Marshall taking on Colorado State. This game's also on December 16th, 3:30 p.m. on ESPN. Coach, who you got in that one?
Colorado State. I just think they're a little more battle tested right now than Marshall. So a lot of times that's what the bowl games come down to. So I'll take Colorado State.
First time it's a clean sweep. Rick took Colorado State. I'm taking Colorado State. I've seen them play a couple of times this year on Saturday afternoons, and they look pretty good. And nothing taken away from Marshall, but I'm with you on the Rams. We move over to the Camellia Bowl. This one is starting to get to the first evening games of the first day of bowls, December 16th, 7 p.m. On ESPN. Middle Tennessee State and Arkansas State, Coach.
Arkansas State, man, they got a ton of athletes out on the field. And don't get me wrong, Middle Tennessee does too, but it just seems like there's just a ton of kids right now at Arkansas State just running around athletes everywhere. So we're going with that.
And it looks like Rick also went with Arkansas State. I'm going with Arkansas State. Again, I saw them a couple of times this year, and they, you throw that state or east or west, start hitting those schools with that, and people start saying, I'm not so sure. But Arkansas State, I think, is also one of those teams, and they probably are in the recruiting battle with the other SEC schools. But if the SEC overlooks someone, I think Arkansas State's right there to get them.
Yeah.
And so I'm with you. It's a clean sweep on Arkansas State here on the Liberal Unplugged version of the Pick'em here with Coach Dunlap. Coach, we also have Boca Raton Bowl, December 19th, 6 p.m. on ESPN, Akron, the Zips with Florida Atlantic. Taking Florida Atlantic.
Pretty hot team right now, yeah.
And let's see, Rick's also taking Florida Atlantic. I'm going with Florida Atlantic. There's a few schools. You have South Florida, Florida Atlantic.
And you got Florida International.
Florida International. There's some schools down there that kind of came out of nowhere, but what a big recruiting field. I mean, they're just growing them right and left down there.
Old State, you don't have to leave. South, you don't have to leave South Miami. South Florida, you don't have to leave any of that area. You can just stay right there.
And so Florida Atlantic definitely coming in on a high to the Boca Raton Bowl, playing Akron. So we're going with Florida Atlantic. Rick's going with Florida Atlantic. On to the Frisco Bowl, Coach, kind of a new bowl. And this 7 p.m., December 20th, on ESPN, Louisiana Tech versus SMU.
I think that's the lone game that day. I'll go with those things. Let's go with SMU.
Riding with SMU. I'm going with Louisiana Tech. To me, Louisiana Tech is also one of those teams, kind of like Arkansas State, that has kind of paid their dues as the little guy in the big neighborhood, and they're kind of been seeing some improvement. I'm going with Tech.
I got you. I'm going with SMU because they just right now up front they got some dudes. They got some defensive linemen that just front.
Does that make a difference, Coach?
It makes big.
Having those guys up front, having those horses. Yeah. Well, Rick agrees with you. He's going with SMU also, so I'm kind of the odd man out there, going with Louisiana Tech. We move on to the Here's another new one, Coach, the Gasparilla Bowl. And this is December 21st, 7 o'clock on ESPN. A lot of these games are going to be on ESPN. If you're not sure where the bowl, turn to ESPN and check. But we're gonna try to keep you informed right here where they're at. Coaches is Temple out of Philadelphia versus Florida International.
Well, I think that's Scott Frost's team for me, be the new head coach for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. But he's a guy with great integrity. He's actually going to stay and coach the bowl game. So I think they're going to win one for good. I'm going to take Florida IMT.
I'm going to go with Florida International also. Let's see here. Rick also went with Florida International, so we got a clean sweep there. And it's the same thing. I think that these kids want to go out. I mean, their coaches, and the way I kind of got the read on that, him going back to Nebraska was kind of a reluctant. I mean, he did it, but it's not that he wasn't happy where he was.
He was very happy. I mean, lose 7 ball games in your first season coaching there to an undefeated season and a conference title. I think he really enjoyed it. I think recruiting's probably going to be a little easier for him too than it was going to be at Nebraska. But if anybody can get it back to Nebraska, it's Coach Frost.
Well, and in a way, I mean, he's built his reputation there, and I think that personally, I don't think it was a smart move for Nebraska. Don't go into the Big Ten, but that's maybe as much heart as head talking. But the numbers, I think, bear it out because they have not had the success in the Big Ten that they had in the Big 12. So maybe it's a Frost that can turn the corner.
But and also, I mean, the Big 12 recruits a different kind of kid. Big 10 still in the power game. They still get under center. There's not a Big 12 team that still gets under center for not 8 snaps. So you kind of recruit a different type of kids sometimes. And, maybe Nebraska would be better off recruiting those kind of kids.
Well, and I also don't think it worked out for Missouri either. They're coming up here in a little bit. We move on over to the Bahamas Bowl. And in the Bahamas Bowl, Coach, I think if you're going to a bowl game, how about Bahamas? Would you like to go there?
I'd love to. Good weather, shorts.
I don't understand why Hawaii's not the number 1 team every year, but anyway, Bahamas Bowl, the other side of the continent, but still a subtropical, nice, beautiful island. UAB versus Ohio, and this is 11:30 a.m. December 22nd on ESPN.
Ohio. That state breeds tough kids, and they stay in state recruiting.
Yeah, Coach Solich down there, and I watched Ohio beat up on Kansas this year. Of course, everybody beat up on Kansas this year, so that's not saying a whole lot. But Ohio, I thought it was a mistake for Nebraska to let him go when they did, and he's gone to Ohio and had great success there. So I'm taking Ohio. Rick's taking Ohio. Coach Dunlap's taking Ohio. Another clean sweep there. Now we're going to go up north. After one in Bahamas climate, we go to the Idaho Potato Bowl, and so you go back to the Smurf Turf, Coach, and 3 p.m. December 22nd on ESPN. You got Central Michigan and Wyoming.
That was a tough one there for me. Both pretty good programs, up and coming. We'll get to the mid-majors, but I'm going to stick with Central Michigan.
Yeah, this one, the Chippewas, I think, are just the stronger team. I think Wyoming, it's next door for Wyoming, so it's almost a home game if there is such a thing, in a state that has, I think, 300,000 people. Yeah, I think Central Michigan is too tough. And let's see here. Rick's going with the Cowboys. He's going with Wyoming. And so he's the odd man out there. Now we come back to the South for the Birmingham Bowl, Coach. And in the Birmingham Bowl, noon on December 23rd, a couple days before Christmas on ESPN, you've got, here's our first Big 12 team. We got Texas Tech and South Florida, one of those Florida teams we talked about.
Well, they got dudes everywhere. And I'm kicking with my heart here. Love the conference. I might be kicking myself right now, but I'm going to take Texas Tech. Conference
I'm a Big 12 guy too, but I'm going to go with South Florida. Rick went with Texas Tech. I no slight to Texas Tech at all, but South Florida. I just seeing them a couple times this year. I've seen Texas Tech a couple times this year too, but I'm going against the grain. I'm going with that power. What's going on in Florida football across the wave is just incredible. So I'm going to go with South Florida. We move over to the Armed Forces Bowl, and in this one, Coach, we've got it's 2:30 p.m. December 23rd, ESPN. San Diego State versus Army.
And that was a tough one. I'll go with San Diego State. And it spreads it out a little bit. And gets the ball out of their hand quickly. They got some athletes. And they recruited the state of California really well. So, like we know right now, that's probably a bigger hotbed than there is in Florida right now. So they've done a great job of recruiting. We're going to go with San Diego State.
We talked a little bit just kind of in passing on how some of these states, California, Florida, Texas, Louisiana, how their high school systems are designed to really build college level athletes, and so San Diego State's definitely going to benefit from that. Also, a huge state to pull from. Army pulls nationwide also, but the style of play, I'm also going San Diego State. Rick went San Diego State, so a clean sweep there. How about the Dollar General Bowl? You've got 6 p.m. December 23rd on ESPN, so this will be right after the Armed Forces Bowl. And you got Appalachian State versus Toledo, Coach.
It seems like every week you get to watch a Toledo game. Every week I just see it doing amazing things. So with Toledo.
Yep, clean sweep. Rick took Toledo. I'm going with Toledo. Appalachian State has had some of those upset wins also, and they've also a couple times had some of the big boys on the ropes that they escaped late. But yeah, I'm sticking with the Rockets of Toledo. We move over to the Hawaii Bowl, another one that if your team makes it, you go because you're going to paradise. But Hawaii Bowl, 7:30, December 24th, Christmas Eve. What a way to wrap up the day. Turn over to ESPN, watch the Hawaii Bowl. You got Fresno State and Houston, Coach.
I'm going to go with Houston. That state right now, like I said, they're breeding defensive linemen like no other. I think that's where you win in these last football games. We're going to go good defense, great coach.
Houston's become kind of, in recent years, quarterback U. There's been some great quarterbacks come out of there. And to me, take the two programs in these last two bowls we talked about, San Diego State, Fresno State. To me, there's something different happening there. I think Fresno State has made some improvement and get bowl eligible, but I just don't think they're quite there yet as a program. And so I'm with you, Coach. I'm going Houston. Rick goes Houston, so it's a clean sweep for Houston. We move on to the Dallas Bowl. This is college, so it's okay to talk Dallas. Normally for me, no, but here, the Dallas Bowl, 12:30, December 26th, day after Christmas, ESPN, another Big 12 team playing here, Utah, West Virginia.
Big 12 pick, Virginia. They got a ton of offense, and this could be possibly one of your most high scoring bowl games that we have on the docket here. But I'm going to take Big 12.
I'm taking West Virginia. I was disappointed in their last game against Oklahoma. I thought it would be a closer game, and the Sooners just kind of ran away with it. But I think that West Virginia against Utah is going to favor the Mountaineers. So I'm going with West Virginia there. That moves us over to the. I got to see what that is. That's the Quick Lane Bowl, and what you have there, 4:15 p.m. December 26th, again on ESPN, Duke and Northern Illinois. Coach, I don't know if these two teams ever played in. I mean, that sounds like a basketball matchup, but here we are in a bowl.
Yeah, Northern Illinois, great history there. Tough camp. Jerry Kill, anybody, the Kansas football historian, coached at Emporia State, and was at Minnesota. He was there. Left Northern Illinois to go to Minnesota. And actually, my college linebackers coach Chris Griffiths from Northern Illinois. For that reason, people do. But I mean, Coach Toot is a great coach, and Kill is also. I just think that ACC is tough practice. I don't think their athletes are going to stress the test. Meaning their finals, they're smart, they're passing, they're ready for football.
Well, and there's nothing wrong with that pick. Rick also took. I think let's see here. Yeah, Rick took Duke with you. I'm going Northern Illinois. Northern Illinois seems to be one of those feeder programs. That's where a coach goes and gets a chance to go somewhere else. But they get to prove themselves at Northern Illinois, and they get some athletes there. And I don't know how they do it, but they're competitive in Northern Illinois. And I just one of those gut feelings, but I'm going with Northern Illinois. We're going back to another Big 12 matchup here, and this is the Cactus Bowl. And it's at 8 p.m. December 26th, also on ESPN. Kansas State and UCLA.
This is a game that I'm very interested in. Big 12 pick. And my first choice was to pick UCLA. Still think UCLA is going to win this ball game. But since we are in Liberal, we are in the state of Kansas, and this is B coach, and I want to stay par. A little smart pick here. I'm going to take Kansas State.
Well, let me tell you, I'd love to not pick Kansas State. I'm on the other side of the fence, but I'm trying to pick with my head here, not my heart. Because of that, I am going to go with Snyder and go with the Wildcats. And the opposites at UCLA, they're going to have an interim coach waiting for Chip Kelly to come in next year. And I'm no fan of Chip Kelly, but I know that feeling of your coach just left, and there's a little bit of that going on, and you want to play to prove yourself. So that's going for UCLA, I think. But K-State is the prettiest, ugliest team I've ever seen. Nothing good about. I mean, there's nothing fancy or elegant or anything. They just win. They just gut it out and find ways to win. And they haven't had the best bowl history, but I think Snyder, you never know when it's going to be his last, but I'm going with Snyder and the Cactus Bowl. That moves us on over here to the Independence Bowl, 12:30 p.m., December 27th, ESPN. By the way, I want to mention we got a little help in here today with Jimmy Hampton. He's running the cameras for us today, and so Jimmy, I know you won't be watching on your computer on December 27th. Watch at 12:30, since that's right at lunchtime. I might have to watch Rick on that here in the office. We still got work to do, but December 27th, ESPN, Southern Miss versus Florida State in the Independence Bowl, Coach.
That's a pretty tough pick there. They both pretty young teams this year. Not as successful as they want to be right now. I think Florida State had all the hoopla on them at the beginning of the season. Their coach leaves for a contract that would probably make all of us leave any job for the amount that they're going to pay him. But I think, like you said earlier, with that the kids at Florida State are going to want to come and improve because it's a clean slate with Coach Taggart helping them trust him. He comes in there from Oregon. Every kid there is going to wear a white shirt. It doesn't matter if you're a freshman, he just signed you, or you're a senior getting ready to be. You're a nobody. You got to prove yourself. So I'm just going to take Florida State for that reason. Prove themselves to Coach.
I'm with you, Coach. For one, just the sheer history. Sometimes history matters, and I think in this bowl, history matters. Florida State is expected to win. They're expected to win the national championship every year. And so when they go to something like the Independence Bowl, they certainly are going to be in there expecting to win it. So I'm going Florida State. Looks like Rick also went Florida State, so a clean sweep there. Go on to the Pinstripe Bowl, 4:15 p.m., December 27th, ESPN. Here in this matchup, we've got Big Ten Iowa versus Boston College.
Let's go with Iowa. Iowa, great running game, pretty good defense. So ball control, I'll take that over any offense.
Iowa's had some big wins this year too in the Big Ten, and so you don't know which Iowa team you're going to get. I think you're going to get one that's better on this day than Boston College. I'm going with Iowa. Rick went with Iowa, so hey, another clean sweep there for us with the Hawkeyes. We move over to the Foster Bowl, 7:30 p.m., December 27th on Fox. You can turn your channel off of ESPN and go find another one that's on Fox. And in this one, you've got Arizona versus Purdue.
Purdue hands down. A lot of offense, which that whole conference does. A lot of offense. Arizona's on the downslide right now. But they're making themselves, they're going to pick it up.
I'm going Purdue also. I just think looking conference to conference, the Pac-12 to me is just not there right now. And on a matchup like this. And so I'm also going Purdue. Rick went Purdue, so that was a clean sweep. We move to the Texas Bowl, come back to the great state of Texas, and December 27th, 8 p.m. on ESPN. Lo and behold, who's playing in the Texas Bowl? Texas and Missouri. So a former Big 12 matchup coming back together here in the Texas Bowl.
Better talent, maybe Missouri right now. Big conference, they play a powerhouse every week. It's the Big 12. And it's a home game. Texas.
You know, Texas had that big disappointing loss last year to the Jayhawks. And since then, it seems like they're starting to right the ship a little bit, getting back to where Texas football is expected. You've got the best recruiting field in the country, I believe, in the state of Texas. High school football in Texas is king. Every kid grows up wanting to be a Longhorn.
It's a religion. I mean, that's just what it is.
So how can they not? But in this game, I'm also with you. I'm taking Texas. As a KU, it's not anything about Missouri, although I can't stand Missouri as a KU fan. But it's we've had some of our local boys go there. One in particular,
Marcus James,
and was at the time he was the all-time all-purpose yards record holder, and I think he was since eclipsed. But still, Texas in the Texas Bowl. How can you not take Texas in the Texas Bowl?
game full of cowboy hats and Bud Light.
Well, there you go. Okay, so we move on to the Military Bowl. And in this one, Coach, what a matchup. Virginia, Navy, 12:30 p.m., December 28th, ESPN.
I know Virginia has a month to get ready for this offense. I don't know if anybody can truly get ready for it. Navy's got to get healthy. Probably the fastest quarterback in the country. And they're an old school option, veered, mid-line type team. Got 15, 16 days to get healthy. I'm going with Navy.
You know, I'm going with Navy. I don't know why more teams don't run that triple option threat, do that. I mean, when you see the success they have and how defense have to prepare for that, I watched it for years out here with Coach Cornelson when you didn't know who was going to have the ball. Three guys, you have to tackle three guys. One of them has the ball, so you've got to play it that way. But you can give them 6 months to prepare. I think Navy wins this game. Rick goes with Virginia, so he's the odd man out. Going with Virginia. I'm going with the midshipmen, and I tell you what, if you haven't watched them, like I say, this one's at 12:30, December 28th. Watch that game. You're going to enjoy watching it. It's not the vertical game so much as it's just. It's football. It's football the way kids play it in the backyard, and the way you see it on Kids Inc. and it still can be played that way successfully. So to me, that's a must-watch game. We're going to move on to the Camping World Bowl. We're starting to get into some more of the ranked teams, Coach, here. And so 4:15, December 28th on ESPN, number 22, Virginia Tech versus number 19, Oklahoma State.
Might be the best bowl game, which in the stretch that we're getting come up to. But this is going to be an excellent game to watch. Virginia Tech, their offensive coordinator is this territory, Panhandle type kid. Brad Cornelson from Texoma. So a lot of people know that name when we say that. And then at Oklahoma State, home to Barry Sanders, but we got one of our own right now starting. Written out. Oklahoma State.
I'm taking Oklahoma State. I don't know all the controversy heading around the best mullet in the land, but as far as whether he would look at Tennessee or not, but Oklahoma State's offense, it's kind of like a bowling ball rolling downhill. Once it gets moving, it's just hard to stop, and they just come and come and come. So, and Britain's a big part of that, just part of that bowling ball mentality. I'm going with Oklahoma State. Even Rick, the Boomer Sooner, took Oklahoma State in the Camping World Bowl. So, clean sweep for the Cowboys in that one. Going back to the Alamo now, the Alamo Bowl. And this is 8 p.m., December 28th, ESPN. Number 13, Stanford versus number 15, TCU. Two very different styles of play here, Coach.
Different but similar. Stanford's going to line up. They're going to put two tight ends out there most of the time, and they're going to pound right at you. With TCU, though, they're just going to spread the field right at you. But TCU quarterback Kenny Hill, Coach Patterson, the Kansas boy, and they're what? Big 12. TCU it is.
Coach going TCU, Rick's going TCU, and I'll tell you, I was very impressed this year with the speed of TCU. They seem to they can get to that fifth gear quick. But I've been around long enough to know no conference sweeps. So I'm taking Stanford. I'm taking the Cardinal in this one. That, like Coach said about Duke, Stanford kids, they're not worried about their finals. No problem for that. So they're going to finish that, be focused on football, and I'm giving Stanford, even though it's kind of a home game for TCU at the Alamo, I'm going with that they're going to want to, TCU is going to want to forget the Alamo. Going with Stanford.
I'm with you, man. That's where my clean sweep would have been the K-State UCLA game. I just figured 99.9% of liberal would pick that. So if they get it right, they'd have a big advantage over me. And I'm here to compete.
He's playing to win, guys. Playing to win. He's thinking he's out. This is chess. He's not playing checkers over here today. Okay, we're going to go to the Holiday Bowl. And if you're going to go to a bowl, that's not a bad one. We're talking San Diego area. That's pretty good. So 8 p.m., December 28th on Fox. Number 18, Washington State versus number 16, Michigan State. Coach?
That's pretty good. And you got two ranked teams. But I'm going to stay with Washington State. That's a little closer to them. It's going to be like a home game. They should have more fans out that way. And with their offense, whether they're going to spread that sucker out, they like to throw it around. So we're going to take the team that runs the air raid offense and go with Washington State.
Well, I'm going to differ with you here on this one. I'm going Michigan State, and it's almost a wash, this game, 18-16. What a matchup. And I'd like to say that the bowl pairings this year, I think, are very good. I don't think there's anything that I can look at and say, why that one? But I'm going with Michigan State only because I believe that the Big Ten is the stronger conference right now. The Pac-12, I just don't get. Now, if that matchup was a little bit different, I may still go with the Pac-12. But to me, apples to apples, I'm taking the Big Ten on that one. And so let's see here. Rick went Michigan State, Coach. So maybe the first time you're the odd man out on that one. But I'm going Michigan State. Rick's going Michigan State. See if Coach, there's one Coach is good. He can make it up on us and make us look bad on that one. Now the Belk Bowl. The Belk Bowl's at noon on December 29th on ESPN, and this matches up Wake Forest and Texas A&M. What an intriguing matchup to have Wake Forest and Texas A&M.
Let's see something because these guys know what they're doing when they put it together. But I'm going to stick with A&M. Got a great coach coming in. They lost a great guy. Don't get me wrong. I think it's a big mistake that they're firing Coach Sumlin. Big mistake. He's going to land on his feet somewhere. But they are bringing in a big game. And they got to prove themselves to him. So for that, go with Texas A&M.
I'm going A&M, and that's probably more of a heart decision for me, just as a former Big 12 team, and I haven't seen enough out of Wake Forest this year to feel like I could pick them in a bowl versus A&M, and so Aggies, and Rick also went to Aggies, so we got a clean sweep there. Moving on to the Hyundai Sun Bowl, and so here in the Sun Bowl, which is 2 p.m. December 29th on CBS, and CBS has had the Sun Bowl forever. You got number 24 NC State versus Arizona State, Coach.
Mark my words, here in the next 3 years, if they give it time, Arizona State will be a conference. They Jake Plummer. It's coming back. They just hired a guy who can coach, which is a great guy. We both know him. I'm not a Chiefs fan, but we know that what he did for the Chiefs has really helped with Andy Reid. Gets to this day. Guy can coach, guy can recruit, but for this game and this year, NC State just too much. ACC, the best conference in the country right now. So we're going to stay there.
Well, and I'm swinging the other direction, and for a change, I'm going with the West team. I'm going Arizona State over NC State in the Sun Bowl, and let's see, Rick here, he's going with NC State, so I'm the odd man out on that one. Maybe I can make up some ground on that other pick that I probably didn't get earlier, so maybe get one back there. But let's see how you're getting on your pick, see if you're going to come out ahead on that one. But Arizona State, for me, they had the Sun Devils have been a little bit of a standout from that side of the fence, other than the USCs and those that you expect. And it seems like in bowls, every time I don't take Arizona State, I lose. And so I'm taking Arizona State this year, see if I can reverse fortunes there. We're moving on to, and I'm looking at these. I printed them out kind of small here. I think this is the something City Bowl. I'll add that in below. You'll see the name of this bowl down here because I can't see it. But it matches up. It's going to be played at 3:30 p.m. December 29th, and it's Kentucky versus number 21 Northwestern.
Ooh, man. Tough conferences. Two of the best. Two of that Power 5 conference. But I'm going to go with Northwestern. People don't believe it, but Northwestern probably was that first team that started the spread offense back. Everybody's spreading out 5 receivers, empty backfield. So we're going to go with the spread originator.
Well, I'm going for Northwestern for several different reasons. For one, as a Kansas fan, even though it's a different sport, never go for Kentucky on anything. But also, Kentucky has some of the same problems Kansas has had being a basketball school, trying to play football. They did well enough this year to get to the bowl, and they play in the tough SEC. But I'm going with Northwestern. They've had a little more success recently, and so I'm going with them.
A little more focus on football.
Yeah.
You feel sorry for programs like that because Kentucky could be the same thing they offer the basketball programs they could offer too. I think probably on the West Coast, those powerhouse UCLA's pretty always had USC. Those are programs. Maybe North Carolina could say they can do both, but it's pretty hard to have both sports be very successful.
And I know it as well as any as a KU fan, and I I just don't get it. I've been to the facilities. I've seen how great they are. I've seen facilities at football powerhouses, and they're not that much different. Stadium's a little different, but how Kentucky and Kansas struggle with football programs when you've got all the success in the world in basketball, I don't understand either.
Yeah.
But like I'm with you, Northwestern not worried about finals either. Arizona Bowl, 4:30 p.m. December 29th on CBS Sports Network. Utah State and a newcomer to the bowl season. I think this is a 30-year drought being broken. New Mexico State.
I've never seen New Mexico State play a game. So for that reason, I'm going with Utah State. Particularly, they normally have humongous offensive line. They get some dudes that are very aggressive and mean you normally see on Sunday nights, and you hear them all talk about Utah. So we're going to take
Utah State, obviously a reasonable pick. I'm going with, I guess, the underdog. I'm going with New Mexico State. I want to see that up and cover team have that season that no one forgets and everyone. That's when you actually build a program. When you win that game, you're not supposed to. And this is New Mexico State's chance, and they may never have another one. So this is the chance to turn it around, get a big win in the Arizona Bowl, and pull that off. Rick went with you. He went with Utah State. So you guys went that direction. I go the other direction with New Mexico State. Moving back into the Big 12 country, we go to the Cotton Bowl. It's Big 12 country, but no Big 12 teams. But in the Cotton Bowl, you've got number 8 USC versus number 5 Ohio State.
We want to see some great quarterback play. This is shoot all of those kids. USC's quarterback may go top 5 pick in the NFL, shoot for the South to go. We're talking about some dudes right here. We're talking about some great coaching also, but I got to go with Ohio State. I mean, you're talking about a team right now who, honestly, in my eyes, they're the conference champ. They should be in
There was no way. Once any one of those 4 teams lost in those championship games, Alabama was already in.
I like Nick Saban too, but to me, you lost at the wrong time of the year. You can't lose late and still get in. It's not the way it's supposed to work.
No, but if those 4 teams, if Wisconsin wins, they're in. And but when they slipped, that was the door that the committee, in my view, needed to put Alabama in there. But I'm with you. Ohio State maybe should have been in that Final Four. And I think when you've got that grudge, and I don't think USC was ever even on that last couple of weeks thinking about it. So they're thinking about the Cotton Bowl the whole way. Ohio State feels like they've got something to prove. And when you get some big boys feeling like they got something to prove, sometimes those games can really turn.
It can get bad for their opponent. And don't get me wrong, I think Alabama still might be the best team in the country. But I don't think they're playing the same rules as everybody else. As we well know in the state of Kansas.
Well, we're only 7 picks away from that one, Coach, and then we'll find out what you think about Alabama. But we're going to move to the Tax Slayer Bowl. And in the Tax Slayer Bowl, 11 o'clock, December 30th on ESPN, you've got Louisville versus number 23, Mississippi State.
Bowl games, rankings don't matter. Best football player for the last 2 years should probably win the Heisman. Is playing for Louisville, and that is Lamar Jackson. This kid is Randall Cunningham. You know, still alive. But this kid he's special. If he left tomorrow, go pro, to me,
I think he's the best quarterback in the game right now too, and I'm a big Randall Cunningham fan. And you go back to Randall Cunningham's college days, and you look at UNLV, and you saw a lot of wins, but you didn't see that big win, and that's because the same reason I'm taking Mississippi State is because when you have that big threat, but you don't have the whole pieces of the puzzle that it takes. You talked earlier about those linemen and all of those other things it takes for this guy to really get to show what he can do. I think that the whole puzzle, to me, fits a little better right now with Mississippi State. So I'm going with Mississippi State. Rick took Mississippi State. So, Coach, you're the one guy going Louisville, and you're probably the right one because you know what you're talking about. But I'm going with that one. We're going to move over to the Liberty Bowl, and another Big 12 team participating in this one. We've got at 11:30 p.m. December 30th on ABC. We've got Iowa State versus number 20 Memphis.
So, that rankings do not matter in this. Iowa State almost scored quite a few cities this year. Almost scored OU season. We know they got it. They're just about what team's going to show up. If you put a number in front of the team and say they're ranked, Iowa State's probably going to be.
And, Coach, you may be in this situation before. Look at Iowa State. Their starter quarterback has to step away from the team for some personal reasons. Next guy comes in, beats OU. And then another guy comes in. I mean, it seems like Kansas can't find a quarterback, and Iowa State's got three of them and don't even know the names of these guys, and here they are just winning games. I mean, it's just amazing to me that some of these teams go that deep at that position, Coach. But I'm taking Iowa State. Think this would be a great basketball game too. They ought to schedule Memphis and Iowa State every year. But Coach, you ever been in that spot? I mean, quarterback goes down and next guy up.
Down, who's next? That's got to be fear. But I think that's a testament to Iowa State and how well they recruit because they're looking for a certain player to fit their offense that they're fighting. It doesn't matter about the name on the back; it's the name on the front for them. So they're not looking for big name kids all the time. They're just looking for kids who can make certain throws and certain moves within their offense, and that's the kid that they get.
And they've been doing it, and it's working. And so Iowa State's a clean sweep. Rick took Iowa State. You got them. So we're all going Big 12 at the Liberty Bowl. We move over to the Fiesta Bowl. Now we're starting to get rents going up here. Things are starting to get a little more serious. Number 11 Washington versus number 9 Penn State. 3:00 December 30th on ESPN. Coach, who are you taking there?
Honestly, right now in my heart, the best coach in America is at Penn State. This guy's enthusiastic. Frankly, gets after those kids in a great way. He's demanding without being demeaning. He's very pushy. The guy I kind of take a lot of what I do is from this guy. I've watched him his whole career. He's at Vandy, he was in the SEC with a team that was at the complete bottom. You know, and I got to go to Penn State. Washington, great program, great coaches. This is one game you need to watch. If you got an opportunity to watch it, please do. Please do.
Well, and Penn State took it on the chin after the whole Patino incident and all of that. But when you see how they're coming back and putting things back together, you knew you couldn't hold a good program like that down for long, and that they're going to put that back together. Having said that, and again, I don't want to show any West Coast bias here, but I'm actually taking Washington in this one. Rick's going with you; he's taking Penn State, but I'm breaking ranks here and going with Washington. And there's been some great things going on up there, and I see the steps being taken building the program, and they're coming along. So I'm going Washington on that one. The odd man out. Coach and Rick go Penn State. We can move on to the Orange Bowl. This used to be Big 12 country, but with the new alignment and everything, it kind of has changed those traditions. So here in the Orange Bowl, we've got 7 p.m. December 30th on ESPN. We've got number 10 Miami versus number 6 Wisconsin.
Wisconsin, this team probably the most fundamental team in college football. They do everything maybe nothing great. You know what I mean? But they do everything well. They're very fundamental. They block, they tackle, they get after. Miami, like I said, they got a lot of dudes. They got cat daddies out there that run for days. And I mean, they wow. That's all you can say. And, they had a bad game. They let the pressure get to them last week in the conference championship. Have an opportunity. If they win that, they're in the playoffs. I'm going with Miami. Just too much speed. I mean, it's amazing. And their fastest kid is a St. Louis kid. And Jeff Thomas, this freshman, kid can go. And I mean, he's a true freshman wide receiver, return man.
Well, and you take a look at both of these teams. They both finished runners-up of their conference championship games, and so they're both coming in with something to prove. And I think that's going to make for a great bowl game. And I've heard all this stuff about Miami is too small of a market to compete. You don't have the facilities and all of that stuff, and yet they just win. And that's what I'm saying. They talk about the modern era has changed the game and this and that, but the facts are, I think they've got the right formula. They've got the right leadership, and like you mentioned, they've got performers, and that's what you have. I don't care. Without performers, you can have everything else right, but you've got to have those guys make plays. They've got playmakers. I'm going with Miami.
They can play on Sundays.
Yeah. And Rick is going odd man out here. He's going Wisconsin. He's going with the Badgers, and not a bad pick, but I'm going Miami. Coach is going Miami. We're going to switch over to the Outback Bowl. This was a team that used to be powerhouse, and then you had the old football coach at the other one. But first game on New Year's, first game of 2018, 11 a.m. ESPN2, Michigan and South Carolina.
And for me, this one was tough because I mean they're both really good teams, similar in the way that they like to run the football, they like to do certain things, but I have a teammate with Michigan. So for that.
Well, and again, not a bad pick. Michigan, like you said, they're coming from the Big Ten Conference, and you said that you believe Big Ten's a decent conference, maybe not as good as the ACC, but a good conference. You got South Carolina in the mix here. But I'm with you, Coach. I'm going Michigan. Rick's going Michigan. The Outback, we got a clean sweep going Michigan. Peach Bowl. The Peach Bowl, here's one of those teams we didn't mention from Florida, but you've got number 12, UCF, Central Florida, versus number 7, Auburn.
Man, Florida got some dudes. In that same aspect, a lot of those dudes from Florida are playing Auburn right now. So we've seen Auburn. Bar injury, they're probably in this talk, or they're probably still in a lot of people's head with 3 losses, but still doing the talk that if they're a healthier team, they're still in the playoffs. But I'm going to go with Auburn. Coach Malzahn is him and his staff. They do a great job of recruiting offensive innovators. I'm going to say
I'm with you, Coach. For one, Auburn beat Alabama. You don't beat Alabama and not know what you're doing. And obviously, that's a game that those kids grow up knowing one day they hope to be in and hope to be on one side of that fence or the other. And Auburn took it this year, and I'm with you, Central Florida. I've taken several of those Florida teams. I think I've taken almost every Florida team. On this one, I'm going Auburn with you, and Rick's going Auburn. So it's a clean sweep for Auburn, which are actually the Tigers, but there's the War Eagle in there. Not quite sure about all the logos thing, but they're actually the Auburn Tigers. And go War Eagles in that one. 3 more. We're down to the last 3 here, Coach, and we're going to the Citrus Bowl. At noon on New Year's Day on ABC, you got number 14 Notre Dame versus number 17 LSU.
Trading what for me is what it comes down to is what you play every week, how your kids get active. Only thing that can affect this game truly is if your kids decide not to make it not what it should be. I'm going to go with LSU right here. Conference, they're actually going to get healthy and be able to play a pretty good team at Notre Dame. LSU, too many captains.
There's just the one thing that bothers me about LSU is the offense. I have no question that their defense is solid. They always end up in those 14-17, 14-10 games. They can make that happen, and it's not that they can hold teams to that. It's scoring for them that bothers me. But in this matchup with Notre Dame, I just feel like LSU is going to find the end zone enough, and that Notre Dame is going to struggle against that LSU defense. And so I'm picking, they talk about defense winning championships. When it comes to the Citrus Bowl championship, I'm going defense. I'm going with the LSU, another Tigers right there, going with that. So I've taken those. You took LSU. Rick went with Notre Dame. So he's taking the Irish on that. He's the odd man out with the Irish. And so we'll see how he does, see how you guys are doing by New Year's Day on these. And here we go with the big ones. We're down to the final four. There's no 64, 32, 16, 8. It goes straight four, Coach. The top four, starting with the Rose Bowl, 4 o'clock, New Year's Day, ESPN, number 3, Georgia, the SEC champions, versus the Big 12 champion Oklahoma Sooners.
It'll be a good matchup, but not as good as we think. A lot of people think this is going to be a close game. I don't think Remember, you said, I just can't take a clean sweep of confidence.
Stepping out. Coach is stepping out.
Georgia.
Taking the Bulldogs. I am going with the Sooners. I feel like the way that they divide up the teams and play in their conferences in the SEC, Georgia didn't play some of the best teams of the SEC. They didn't play Alabama, and so if you want to say they had a little bit lighter road to the SEC championship, I think that they may have, but they beat Auburn, and they beat Auburn. I mean, they didn't just win.
They beat them.
Yeah.
They beat up.
Yeah, they took them out. But Oklahoma with the new coach and I think the focus that they have there this year, and obviously with Mayfield, that big tight end, there's a little concern about their defense. But their offense, I don't think, is going to have a problem. So I might be a homer on this one, but I'm going with OU and going with the Big 12 on that one.
No,
yeah.
For me, I don't. I'm with you. I don't know if OU's defense can stop the Colorado. They don't see that. They see spread, throw it out. It's just going to be something new for them. It's something they haven't had to do in a while.
I think Big 12 teams, we talked about Navy earlier, I'm just glad that it's not a Big 12 team facing that kind of offense. Navy. Now, Georgia isn't that, but they can pound it. What's that big back's name? I was talking with Chubb. Yeah, you can't. That guy is, he almost doesn't need any help, and you got to have 4 or 5 guys bring him down. So we'll see if they're patient. I think that's what Georgia is going to have to be patient.
He might be the second guy. Freshman on. It's proved something like that. True freshman, if they have a step back. He ate Auburn high. That's something we haven't seen Auburn's defense do all year. This is going to be an interesting game.
And so we got 2 Oklahomas. I'm going Oklahoma. Rick's going Oklahoma. Coach is going with Georgia. So that takes us to the Sugar Bowl. Who else is going to make that national championship game? You got number 4 Alabama, rematch of last year's national championship. Number 4 Alabama, number 1 Clemson.
I'll say it right. I'll pick Clemson. I'm really thinking about changing this pick. I am, because you know what? They just proved they're the best conference in the world. Change pick.
Coach is scratching it.
Alabama.
He's going with the tide.
Alabama.
Coach is rolling with the tide. I'm going Clemson. Sometimes I feel like something good has to happen for the good guys, and the coaching staff at Clemson, I feel like they do it right. They aren't. I hope not. You never know in these day and age, but I don't believe that's ever one you're going to see recruiting violations or issues like that. And those players who go there, they when you're playing in Death Valley every home game and just that experience coming down the hill, touching the rock, there's something special about that. Obviously, they're going to be playing in the Dome in New Orleans in the Sugar Bowl, but it's hard to overcome the media hype that Alabama gets, and I try to whitewash through that and be fair about it, but it's hard, and so I'm a little bit SEC biased, not in a good way. So in this game, and with the history of these two, this ought to be a heck of a game. I'm going with Clemson, and I'm comfortable with that. Rick went Clemson. Coach had a change of heart and went with Alabama.
I went with Alabama. So I got 2 conference teams playing for the conference championship.
So he's got the SEC championship the way he thinks it should have been between Georgia and Alabama. I've got Oklahoma Clemson. Rick's got Oklahoma Clemson. So we're down to our national championship picks. So, Coach,
I had Clemson.
Scratch Clemson.
Honestly, if they're healthy, Nick say nobody else. And these guys can. They have something to prove this year. Last few years, they haven't had much to prove. Like you said, it's all been live media. Everything's been good. Nothing bad about it. Now there's some bad out there, and you're not supposed to be in this game. Nick, you're not supposed to be in this game. You're influenced. Nick did something. He cheated. He got to this game. I think those players don't hear that. I'd be surprised if Clemson's quarterback makes it out of the second. Makes it into the second. Those guys are going to be tired.
Coach, you've been a part of some of these games. Some of that media spectacle, some of the stuff going on, how much does that affect the players like their practice and things like that?
It'll definitely make them very focused. Especially when you're talking about a program like Alabama. They don't hear that. We haven't heard anything negative in Alabama in 6 years. Since Nick's been there, really haven't. We haven't heard. Everything's been good. He does it right, and we love him. What does Nick Saban do? How does he recruit? Well, we're not saying anything bad about that, but any game they were in, they were supposed to be. It's just something he's going to find.
Well, and number 4, I mean, that's what you're talking about. They're not 1 like they usually are. They're not even 2. They're coming in as the last team to qualify, and it took someone losing for them to get in. And so that definitely for you would have a factor. I don't have them in this game. Rick doesn't have them in this game. So here's a news flash, everybody. Hold your breath. Rick's pick for a national champion. What do you know? OU. I didn't see it coming, Rick. When you watch these, I would not have guessed that in a million years that Rick would have taken the Sooners in the national championship. I'm going with the Tigers in the first in quite a while, back-to-back championships. I'm going with which is hard to do, Coach. I think you know how hard that is at any level. But Clemson, and to me, the thing that'll get me, Coach, is if Alabama wins that game. Because I think who wins the Alabama-Clemson game is the national champion.
I agree with you there, and that's why I'm stepping out of the box. My first choice was, like you said, we haven't seen it. USC, last team to do it.
It's been a while.
Back. It's been a while. And they almost three-peated if it wasn't for a kid named Vince Young. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that was, I don't care, cheating, no cheating. People can say they cheated. They still have to play those games.
Coach, I'm not taking anything away from Vince Young, but there was a defensive stop on 4th and nothing. And that the defense came up and shut that down.
How about they stop themselves?
Well,
because I mean, I'm going to give that thing to 250-pound wife. In a different aspect, but also think of this. You remember the Notre Dame game that year? It wasn't a call for USC back then. You knew Reggie Fleming, assistant, got him in the end zone in that same year. So I don't know. I think they were supposed to lose that game, that Texas game. At 4th and nothing, I remember that. Vince Young was just special. That old drive was just. Man, that's why you love bowl season. That's why you watch those games, because every year we see history being made. We're in the last game. I picked Miami. We got 3 different picks. We got Rick with OU. And we got you with Clemson.
And you've got Alabama. So good luck trying to keep up with all of that out there. You're going to get this entry. You're going to be able to fill out yours. It's going to be in the Leader in Times. Watch for it. Get it filled out. You got until December 15th, the night before the first bowl game, to get that turned back into us. And then we're going to see if you can outpick Coach. We're going to have some special prizes that we're working on for that. So don't miss out on that. There you have it. You have all of Coach Dunlap's picks. We threw in some just for fun. And Coach, been fun.
Enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thanks for coming in. Watch the bowl games. And if you want the scores, go to leaderandtimes.com. We're going to keep up with the bowl season to keep you informed with all the scores going on. And we're also going to let you know how the top brackets are performing and who's ahead of Coach, who's behind Coach, see how you do, see if you can come out with some prizes this year. So for Coach Dunlap, thanks, Coach.
Thank you, sir. Tune in. Also, make sure you're watching basketball, because I played in basketball with Earl Watt.
Well, March Madness isn't far.
Far away.
We'll be watching that too, and we're going to have some fun with that one. So for Coach Dunlap, we want to thank Jimmy for helping us out this afternoon on the cameras. This is Earl at the Leader in Times. Thanks for watching this special edition. We'll have some more come out for you real soon.